Berlin experienced its worst violence in recent months yesterday and last night when residential squatters took to the streets and began rioting. Yesterday afternoon, one of the protesters was killed on Potsdamer Straße. He was running from police when he ran in front of a city bus and was hit and killed. Last night, the squatters took to the streets again. This time, they began rioting and looting stores. The police said that the entire length of Potsdamer Straße was just a string of broken windows. Potsdamer Straße was one of the many streets that was hit here in the city. It was easy to see how that the rioters actually roamed the streets and broke seemingly every window in sight. At noon today, the street was still lined with protesters. However, they were no longer being violent, and the police were stationed all up and down Potsdamer Straße as a precautionary measure. There are expectations that more trouble will come tonight. Yesterday, 96 policemen were injured. Damage throughout Berlin is estimated into the millions of marks. One bank official gave us his estimate of the damage done to his bank alone.
I think we have 300,000 cost for these windows.
This kind of violence in the streets has a deep effect on the people who live and work in Berlin. The violence began when police moved in on some buildings occupied by squatters yesterday morning and had to force them out so that the owners could begin renovation work. The occupiers had been warned that they would have to leave, but they had refused to. The West Berlin governing mayor, Richard von Weizsäcker, pointed out that he had no other choice but to send in police. At that point, violence erupted. Berliners are voicing their opinions today about the violence. An official for one of the major banks here in Berlin that was hit last night today thinks that the general public is worried about the violence, that it may escalate even more.
I think the same happened to the clients, what happened to our employees. They are afraid that this demonstration, that brutality will will escalate, and I think that's the main problem. We need in Berlin peaceful scenery and not a civil war situation.
The violence that Berlin has been facing because of the squatters has already deeply affected the tourist trade here in the city. The West Germans and other normal summertime visitors here have voiced fears that they would end up involved in violence if they were to come to Berlin this summer. Hotels, restaurants, and other tourist services are suffering. Meantime, people on the street have been voicing their own opinion of whether or not they feel safe walking the streets of Berlin.
I don't think there's any danger in the residential areas. I don't think I would walk downtown where the rioting is going on. I don't think it's safe down there.
I don't really know a lot of what's going on because I don't really read the newspapers or watch TV or listen to the radio very much. I mean, the news. I save myself a lot of aggravation. So I don't really know a lot of what's going on. A lot of times, because I live downtown, I see the things, and for example, I have to walk through a demonstration to go home. Usually what I see firsthand is much less than what I do eventually get to hear about.
There may be more trouble tonight, which could mean more looting and vandalism. Every stone that is thrown through a window not only affects the shop owner, but the city as well. From Potsdamer Straße, I'm Air Force Sergeant Bedford C. Vickers, AFN News.